Like I've been getting back into like MMO stuff, and it's very bad. Like I've been watching, as I said, I've been watching Asmongold. I've been watching people like Josh Strife Hayes, and I don't want to play an MMO, but a part of me wants to.
I've tried a bunch of different MMOs, and Final Fantasy XIV has been the only one I've enjoyed.
Mm.
Mainly because I sometimes forget that it's an MMO.
Yeah, well, that's what a lot of people like say when people are saying to give it a shot. Like, play it as a Final Fantasy game, and then forget about the MMO stuff for now. Just deal with that later.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's my problem with MMOs is that the style of how they tell stories in MMOs is like through little text boxes and fetch quests.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. I hate that so much. I will get so tired of that. That's part of the reason why I don't play like Dark Souls and stuff, other than like the brutally hard difficulty that I know I'd be frustrated with and would never finish.
There's a story in Dark Souls.
Yeah, no, if you read through the item descriptions in Dark Souls, it tells a story.
I know. Look, if I want the story for Dark Souls, I'll go watch like Vardy video or one of the YouTube channels about it. I'm not going to deal with the item descriptions.
Yeah, but telling the story through like item descriptions and text boxes, the only time I've enjoyed that was in like the Metroid Prime series.
Sure.
And that's because the point of the game was exploration.
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to just scan things and put it all together.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. That's like solving a puzzle. In Dark Souls or in an MMO, you're doing this tedious task over and over again. That's the same thing over and over again. And your only reward for doing it is 2 sentences.
Hi, I have a quest for you. Go kill 5 goblins, and I'll tell you the rest of the story.
Go kill these 5 goblins, and then I'll give you the task to actually go to the mini boss to then defeat to bring me back an item in order to go to this major boss, and then come back in order for me to tell you another 2 sentences.
I watched Asmon play like the intro section of Final Fantasy XIV. There was like a 15-minute cutscene before the game even started. Like, what is this? This is not what an MMO does. Like, what?
Fair warning, if you end up playing it on Linux, I think you have to skip that cutscene and watch it later.
I'll just play it on Windows. It'll be easier.
That's the only one. It's just that opening cutscene.
I didn't even know it was going to work under Linux.
Oh yeah, I've only played it on Linux.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, it works fantastically, especially if you buy it on Steam. Steam is the easiest way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You literally, you just turn on Proton, start it up, you open a config file, you change a 0 to a 1, or a 2 to a 1. Load it up again, open another config file, change a 2 to a 1, and then you're done.
I was sure I read that it was balked, but maybe I'm just blind.
No, it's not.
No, okay, it's gold. Wow, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's almost platinum. If it wasn't for having to change those 2 little config files, it would be platinum.
Huh.
Because you just have to skip the opening movie and change it back to the old style launcher.
Mm-hmm.
But all the other cutscenes work, except for one cutscene when you get to an airship in the A Realm Reborn. For some reason, that cutscene won't play. You'll have to skip it.
Wow, I didn't realize it. That's impressive. Wow. Cool. Sure.
Yeah. And if you don't want to use the Steam version, there's a Lucius install script for a third-party launcher called the XIV launcher. And you can just use that.
I hear that buying the game is confusing.
Yes, it absolutely is. Buy it on Steam.
Like, there's like different versions you can buy, but they're incompatible with each other or something. Like,
if you buy it on Steam, you can play on either the Steam launcher or the standalone launcher. If you buy it standalone, you can only use the standalone launcher. You can't use the Steam launcher. Also, if you buy it on PC, you can't play it on PlayStation. You have to buy it again on PlayStation.
Right. I also
and all the expansions you'd have to buy again.
There was also something about like, if you bought like Endwalker, you wouldn't be able to like get access to the other stuff until Endwalker came out or something.
Yeah, you have to wait for it to release. But if you buy the newest expansion, you get all the previous ones. So like when I bought the game, I went ahead and bought Shadowbringer, so I got everything before then. And then like a month later, they did this free trial. That's become the copy pasta. It was like, oh, I didn't need to buy all these yet. I could have waited.
Every time I hear someone talk about Final Fantasy, The only complaint they ever bring up is that it's hard to give them money. Like, if that is your biggest problem with your game, I think you've got a good game.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic game. Also, another weird quirk about playing on Linux, if you use the standalone launcher, controllers are weird. For some reason, if I play with the standalone launcher, I can sometimes get a controller work, and then sometimes it won't want to work. If I do it through the Steam launcher, it works fine.
I was probably going to play keyboard and mouse anyway.
Yeah. The controller setup for it is actually fantastic.
Okay.
Because if you didn't know, the game initially released on the PlayStation 3.
Right. Yes, it did, didn't it?
It is an MMO that is built around a controller.
Maybe
At least the earlier versions are. The later versions are built with both in mind now, so it's not
right
as problematic. But a lot of the early classes are very easy to play on the controller. Like I only play a white mage.
Yeah.
Healer classes are fantastic on controller because it's so easy. If I did anything else, I would not want to use a controller. But yeah, that's one thing I didn't like. I got it because I wanted to set these as macros for an extra hotbar in Final Fantasy XIV. When you're playing on controller, you access your spells by either holding down R2 or L2 and then pressing either a direction on the D-pad or a face button.
Oh, okay. So I'd wondered how they managed to fit all of the Final Fantasy inputs onto a controller. Yeah. That explains why.
And then they have a second hotbar you can set up, which is your 8th set of hotbars that you can access by double tapping L2 or R2 and doing the same thing. It works actually really well.
I'm less likely to believe you that this is a good input system. This seems like they've crammed a PC MMO onto a controller.
I mean, that's what they did, but they had to think about it as controller is the only option we have. What's the best way to do this?
That makes sense, because otherwise you're going to go down the route that a lot of JRPGs go, where they have 4 abilities, and that's it. And that doesn't work for an MMO. Like Diablo 3.
This is actually the best layout I've ever seen to play an MMO with a controller. Any other input I've seen, it's been just like pages of 4 or 5 skills. And it's just not fun. Targeting is a little bit of a pain on controller the way it works until you get like really used to quick target and untarget, which I'm still not, which is why I main a healer, because I can focus on healing and just use the D-pad to swap between who's in my party and just choose who to heal. So for a healer, this is the perfect layout. I would much rather play a healer with this layout than I would keyboard and mouse.
Okay.
But what I wanted to do with the back triggers was I wanted to set them to be double click and hold L2 and double click and hold R2. The thing I didn't know is that macros don't let you input other inputs while they're running.
Right. Okay.
I didn't know that. So I set it up to be what I wanted, the double tap and hold, but I couldn't hit the face buttons to activate the spells.
Right.
And I was just like, no, I was going to use them as extra trigger buttons and shit.
That would have made it much better then. Like
that would have been great. So I could hold L2 or I could hold L4. Or actually, they're labeled as P1 and P2. Paddle 1, paddle 2.
Yeah. I'm happy to see like paddles actually becoming a thing on more controllers, because there was that whole debacle with
if these paddles were a little bit more stiff and a little bit harder to press, I would actually use them more often. Right now, it's just too easy to accidentally click them just from grabbing the controller.
Because remember back in the early days of the PS3 and 360, the reason why no one else did it is because Scuff had a copyright on that design, and the only way
and then PS4 came and Xbox One came along, and I think the biggest player now is AIM.
Well, I believe that with the initial Elite controller, they actually licensed it from Scuff.
Oh, did they?
I believe so. That might have changed now.
Because I know, like, the big one right now everyone's blowing up over is AIM, and I don't know if they've surpassed Scuff yet, but I think they're pretty close.
I am so out of the loop on console esports.
I see ads for them all the time.
Right.
I see more ads for AIM controllers than I do Scuff controllers now, and I don't know why, because I've never had an interest in either one of them.
I just stick with the first party controller for the most part.
Same. That's all I do. That's all I do. It's like, why are you trying to sell me on these like 4 back triggers for competitive FPS games? I don't play FPS games. I've never played FPS games. Stop trying to sell me FPS games.
But what if they sell you on macros for Final Fantasy?
You make a convincing argument, Fry.
Yeah. What was I saying? I don't know. Something about I like the back triggers. They're cool. I like them as an option.
Yeah, I like that they're an option. I just wish on this controller itself they were a little bit stiffer.
Yep.
So that I wouldn't accidentally click them as much.
I was gonna say. Oh, right. I remember what I was gonna say now. I need to ask you something. Why do you play a healer? What's fun about a healer? I don't understand.
I like support classes.
Okay, I don't understand. You need to explain this to me. Why do you like support classes?
I love healing classes. Even if I'm playing, like I play Dungeons and Dragons every week, my go-to class is cleric. I like being the support.
I need to understand why. I don't understand.
Because I like being the one who does the setup for someone else to do this crazy wombo combo that I just go like, oh yeah, you think I'm not a threat? It shouldn't be me you're watching out for. It's my buddy over here.
I like being the buddy. The buddy is the fun one.
Also the fact that because I have very poor muscle memory, because I take like week-long breaks in between playing Final Fantasy, White Mage is a class where you can misclick and fuck up and you're still are doing more healing than you need to.
Right, so you would lose your button rotation basically.
Right. So like as a White Mage, I can screw up what I'm doing and hit the wrong thing and I'm still ahead.
Okay.
Because it's such a massive amount of healing I can do.
Well, I guess until you like go and like do the really high level content, like you start doing ultimates.
Yeah, the high level stuff like Savage level dungeons, I will need to learn how to heal and damage at the same time.
Yeah.
Which I cannot wrap my head around. I can barely wrap my head around doing one or the other. I'm not good at muscle memory. I don't like MMO combat.
Right, okay.
Which is why I mainly stick to healing, so I can just stick in the back and just make sure everyone's got health and I've debuffed or I've undone any negative buffs.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I just right now all I do really is dungeon runs. If I start getting better, I can start doing boss raids with people. And the upside to being a healer is I never have to wait on a party.
That is
because
one of the things.
No one's a healer, so everyone's looking for one.
That is one of the things I hear is nice about being a healer.
It's like, all right, party up. All right, I'm good to go.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
My ideal party in Final Fantasy is the light party that you do with only 4 people, which is a healer, 2 DPS, and a tank. So the tank just runs into the midst of stuff and aggroes everyone to them. The DPS are at a distance, or they're also engaged doing a bunch of damage, and the healer's just in the back making sure that the tank doesn't die.
Right, that's fair. And
and that's all I have to do is just sit there. I just hit cure 1, cure 1, cure 1, cure 1. Ooh, free cure 2. Cure 1, cure 1, cure 1, cure 1. Ooh, free cure 2. And
maybe
get rid
have
of
like
debuffs.
a dumb monkey brain, but I like DPS. DPS is fun. I like seeing big numbers.
You would actually, I think you'd like tank more. Because your sole purpose is just to run in and press attack.
That does sound fun, actually. Yeah.
Your sole purpose is to run in, press attack, and press the button to make them attack you.
Look, at the end of the day, what I would do is this is the reason why I can't play Final Fantasy. I want to though. This is the reason why I can't. It has the same problem that RuneScape has, which is that you can change. You can just do different. You're not a class. You're like a single class. You can change it. You can do other shit.
Job system.
And you know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna max out every single one of them. That's what's gonna happen.
I have 2 friends who have done that. The friend that got me into playing Final Fantasy was the one who started way back on the PS3. She's maxed out every single class. My fellow VTuber friend, Corvi, Constellation Corvi, who I played D&D with for a bit, they also maxed every single class. which the current maximum is level 80 for every class except one. I think one of them's level 70.
Right.
And with the new expansion coming out, all the maximum is going to be raised by 10. So it's going to be level 90 for everything except that one class, which will then be 80. Or maybe they'll all be 90. I'm not certain. Maybe they'll bump that one up 20 levels.
That's where you have a class,
including the new classes they're adding. They're adding 2 or 3 new classes, which will also be maxed at level 90.
Well, I have another important question. What race do you play?
The generic human. Okay. Whatever they call the generic human.
Yeah, okay. I know they have stupid fantasy names.
My VTuber design is loosely based off my Final Fantasy character.
Right, okay. Look, the game has cat girls in it, so
the game also has lizard girls in it.
It has look, it's a difficult choice.
The new expansion is going to have bunny people.
I'm aware. I'm very aware of the bunny girls in the expansion.
Oh yeah.
But if I do play it, I'm probably not. I probably wouldn't stream main story content because there's a lot of nothing that, like, there's a lot of cutscenes, and cutscenes would, not. I would have to like ignore the cutscenes for a stream, and that I don't think really makes for the best experience. If I was gonna stream, it would be like dungeon stuff or raids.
Meanwhile, I am streaming exclusively games with long cutscenes for that very reason of the cutscenes.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, there's some exceptions with that, but I hear the Final Fantasy XIV story is fairly good.
Oh yeah, A Realm Reborn is apparently the worst story of the entire game, and I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I keep hearing this from people, but from what it sounds like, it's the worst part compared. Like it's a 9, but everything else is a 10. Like that's what it sounds like to me.
I heard that like more like it's an 8, and everything after that is a 9 or a 10.
Sure, okay. I think
so it's like it's just like it's not the best story in the game. But God damn it, it's still a good story.
I played through all of Crystar, where your best friend turns into a fucking bus and tries to kill you. Like, don't question the story. Like, I can play through shit stories.